The atmosphere's supercharged.
Jeanette Reynaud in her Nordique colors. I don't think a woman's had that kind of reception at a hockey game since Kate Smith in Philadelphia.
Canadiens starting with Kirk Muller, John Leclerc, and it's dumped into the zone by Brian Bellows. Ricci, Lapointe, and Young up front for the Nordiques. This is Foot to Mike Ricci. He's taken out of the play by Leclerc, and it's cleared in by the Canadiens. Curtis Lasician back to get it. What a turnaround he had this year. In fact, very much symbolizing the way the season went for the Nordiques, and now Quebec breaks out. Ricci inside the line with Young. Young with the shot, and that was blocked by Odeline. Muller off the boards to Bellows. Matt Schneider jumps ahead of the rest of his teammates as the Canadiens make a change. Gusarov off the boards past his defensive partner Wolanin, and it banks right in on goaltender Patrick Roy. Here's a loose puck picked up by Sakic. In front, Kamensky's shot is blocked. So the Canadiens' defense has blocked two good scoring chances. Kamensky tries to jam it in front, still loose, and the puck comes free for Dom Foose. Kept in by Gusarov. Kamensky against the boards now. Dom Foose and Sakic were roughing each other up. Sakic dumped Dom Foose, and it's Gusarov turning inside his own line. Up for Mike Huff with Sakic. Into the slot, Kamensky is bounced off the puck. Back the other way, Mike Keane down the right wing. Mario Roberge takes the drop pass. Quebec City native Roberge checked by Steve Duchesne, and Rusinski turns. Sakic, Steve Finn jumping into the play. Finn on the right side as it rolls to Patrick Roy. A minute 48 gone, and a torrid pace being set.
When the Canadiens finished the season on not a very good note, there was some question about their intensity in some games. They'd better have it cranked up for this one. The fans booed Bobby Belanger, one of the Canadiens' equipment men, when he walked across the ice about 6:30 tonight. So that sort of set the tone. Patrick Roy grabs this puck just outside the line as we get a close-up look as he hangs on. Kamensky right there. But the play is whistled down, and we get the first face-off since the opening face-off. And when you get right down to it, the goaltenders are the last line of defense, and there's a couple of high-profile guys in that position in this series, no question about that.
Patrick Roy 3 and 4 against the Nordiques. He played every minute of the regular season series against the Nordiques, as Mark Curry gets set to drop it in against Matt Sundin and Guy Carbonneau. So we were wondering what Jacques Demers would do as far as line matching goes. He could put Carbonneau against Sundin, but they've got Joe Sakic and Mike Ricci at center ice as well. They go with Sundin now, who moves inside the line with Rusinski and Owen Nolan. Hard to pin down the Nordiques on their lines because Pierre Pagé will change them so frequently throughout the course of a game. Denny Savard belted by Steve Duchesne. Nolan dumps it out to center ice. Chris Simon, the rookie, on. Nolan bats it with his glove into the Canadian zone, and Quebec completes a change. Roberge from center, flipping it into the Nordique territory. Adam Foote. There's veteran Gino Cavallini. He has the most playoff experience on the Nordiques team. Puck hit Ron Finn. DiPietro's pass for Brunet slides into the corner. Lasician around the boards for Cavallini. Ex of Calgary and St. Louis. Flipped out. Here's rookie Chris Simon shooting right on. Rebound, rolled wide. Great chance there. Waugh with his first big stop, and Cavallini couldn't cash the rebound. Sakic against DiPietro. DiPietro with the check, kept in by Foote. Sakic in the slot, and now Gilbert Dion for Montreal. Haller is hit, and there's some pushing in front of the Nordique bench, but it's quickly broken up. We've played 3 minutes, 19 seconds of the first period. No score at Le Colisée. Talked to Gino this morning about how great it is to play in Quebec, and he says we get treated so well. I was in the bank the other day, got a special exchange rate when I was cashing in some money. Everybody into the spirit here in Quebec City for their Nordiques. Sundin and Nolan up front. Duchesne dangerously in front of his net, and Dom Foose got a scoring chance. kicked away by Hextall. Eric Desjardins flips it into the corner. Nolan around the boards. Donfus almost picked that off as well, and here comes Sundin. His pass gobbled up by LeBeau. Wolanin gets it back for Quebec and fires it in wide of the goal. J.J. Daniel, there's Donfus inside the line, lost control of it. And Adam Foote takes over for Les Nordiques. Foote slides it in, and again, quick changes for Quebec. And that gives Desjardins plenty of room to skate out to center ice. At the line, tied up by Sakic. Foote can't clear it. Bellows keeps it in. Kirk Muller. Watched by Gusarov. Foote against Bellows. Muller in front. Hextall. It's on the line. Bellows can't put it in. How'd that stay out? Ron Hextall robbing Brian Bellows. Canadiens come very close to getting the icebreaker. Flipped in by Wolanin. Kamensky against Odeline. Muller hands it to Sakic. In turn back to Muller. And now Odeline hands it to Sakic again. Joe Sakic. Shot right on. And both teams, Dick, looking a little nervous in their own end.
And those high-profile goaltenders we spoke of off the top of the show are being tested.
And Schneider knocked off stride as he came into the Quebec zone. Just over 5 minutes gone. First period, no score at Le Colisée. Scott Young, former Stanley Cup winner with Pittsburgh, on the ice for the Nordiques. There's Steve Duchesne, too young. Young flips it in. He brought his Stanley Cup ring in for his teammates to admire yesterday. Young bats it free for Lapointe. Lapointe in front, and it slid by the open corner. DiPietro has Dion open. Gilbert Dion scores!
Well, I'll let you in a little secret, folks. When the play stopped, we were going to show you a terrific save that Hextall made off Donfus. We may show it to you yet. That kept it 0-0. The first big chance for the Canadiens. The second big chance, Hextall gambles. He comes out of the net right into the face-off circle in the area to his right. Give Gilbert Dion credit for having a lot of patience right here. He saw Hextall make the first move, hung onto the puck, pulled around the goaltender. 1-0 Montreal. Gilbert Dion was the first star of the game when these teams played here the last time during the regular season. He had one of his best games of the season. He was a disappointment for the Canadiens. He opens the scoring in this series. And we've got a problem with Patrick Roy's mask, or some part of his equipment. Denis Savard trying to help him out here. And looking quite concerned. Paul DiPietro getting the assist on the Dion goal. And these teams are pumped.
5:52 the time of the goal for DiPietro. His first Stanley Cup playoff point in his first Stanley Cup playoff game. And so the Canadiens have the icebreaker here at Le Colisée, thanks to a couple of the youngsters. We talked about the Canadiens' experience off the top of the show, and the young blood supplies the first goal. Now here's Mario Roberts back in for Montreal. Finn on the far boards for the Nordiques. Carbonneau keeps it in. Carbonneau, Savard, and Robert. This will be a checking line for the Canadiens. Finn out to center, backhands it in. Brisebois to get it first. Kevin Haller, Sundin there, Cavallini for checking, and Haller with a nifty move comes out. Denis Savard working against Finn. Steve Finn and Mike Huff, the only members of the Nordiques who have played playoff games here in Quebec before. Sundin to the line, drops it off, Cavallini, shot block, rebound, and that just went wide. Great chance there again for the rookie Chris Simon. At the point, Curtis Lasician. Brisebois for the Canadiens around the boards, past Lasician and down the ice right on Hextall. Foot clears it into the Canadian zone. Exactly 7 minutes gone. First period, 1-0 Montreal. Sakic turns it over. Kamensky. Checked by Desjardins. And now Don Foose out at center ice. Miskeen with the pass in position. Back to get it. Picked off by LeBeau at center. J.J. Daigneault. It goes to Keane inside the line. Drop pass. Now Don Foose, the shot on the short side. And it flipped off of Adam Foote to Hextall. And he hangs on at the side of the net. Gilbert Dion has the Canadiens in front.
Before the first period, half over.
Daigneault for the face-off. Look at Hextall out again to challenge. Well out of the goal crease, and it comes around to Owen Nolan, looking for Sundin. Rusinski also up front on this line for Quebec. Sundin back in his own zone to Gusarov. Feeds it ahead, Rusinski. Up against Desjardins, and Desjardins has it for Montreal. Sundin after it. He had 13 points in the 7 regular season games between these two teams, led all scorers. Wolanin, nice move and a fine pass to Nolan. Nolan drops it off. Sundin in front, and Patrick Roy with the screen from Rusinski made the glove save.
Yeah, good stop by Roy. The Quebec player Rusinski did a good job cutting in front of him right at the time when the puck was arriving there. Roy hung on. Well, Jacques Demers and his team, not too many people in this province think the Canadiens are going to win this series. Well, you look at Montreal. What have they got going for them? The experience that Chris mentioned. If they score first, which they have done, you look at Montreal as having better overall team defense. They've got to get their power play operating much better than it was late in the season. And when you get right down to it, their highest paid player is going to be the guy on the final line, Patrick Roy. Jacques Demers, coaching in the Stanley Cup playoffs, his 7th year. He's made the playoffs. He's just over 500 overall in his previous playoffs with St. Louis and Detroit. 136, lost 35.
He appeared more on edge today than we usually see out of Jacques. Here's a shot from the point, and another shot by Young, and it's scooped up by Patrick.
A penalty coming up to the Canadiens. A late hit, as the saying goes. Roy makes the save, and a Nordic player, can't see who that is, gets clobbered in the traffic. Ricci's down, and the Canadiens draw a penalty, Matthew Schneider. So the first power play of this series falls the way of the home team here in Quebec. As we take a look at it, a good alert stop by Roy, and a puck that popped up as he gets back in position and covers up right here. And then after it's all over, Ricci is drilled. Well, you got to take your pick as to which member of the Canadiens deserved the penalty, but it's number 8. DiPietro is there, but Schneider definitely made the first contact. So the Nordiques on the power play. This year they were 5th in the league, but 12th at home. So it shows you that their good road record was demonstrated in all facets of their game. The Canadiens in a penalty killing way were 10th overall, 13th killing penalties on the road. And we get a little bit of hit 1, pearl 2 going on in behind the Canadiens net as somebody's skate got caught up here. Paget was in the playoffs twice, coaching as the head coach with the Minnesota North Stars, and he lost both rounds.
No shortage of talent at Paget's disposal on these power plays. He sends out Ricci, Young, and Kamensky up front. Sakic and Duchesne on the points. His leading point getter on the power play is Matt Sundin with 46. He's on the bench. Young, there's a chance for Ricci, and again Patrick Roy is sharp as he held on to the short side. Sakic back to get it. Duchesne's pass broken up. Canadiens clear it. And Brunet into the zone. Brunet stays with it and now loses control, and the Nordiques regroup. Steve Duchesne used to quarterback the power play in Los Angeles. Left wing feed for Sakic, doesn't click, and back down the ice goes Quebec.
Desjardins sees Muller. Muller could have had a breakaway, and he passed the puck, but he did the right thing in shooting it down.
Duchesne for Rusinski, he's hauled down, and this will be icing against Quebec. Although the fans here at the Colisée would like another ruling after the whistle blows.
And you can't blame them. The way Mike Keane took down the Nordiques. We talked about the power plays. There you see it. We're talking about it tonight. The boys talked about it this afternoon in our telecast out of Calgary. Our crews tomorrow night with our games from Vancouver and Detroit will do the same thing. Hockey's become such a specialized game, Chris, that the specialty teams, as they're called, become so important. And I guess at playoff time, the importance just rises a notch in all aspects. 1:05 left in the Matthew Schneider penalty. Last chance here. Again, Ricci's been dangerous, and Roy hung tough up against the goalpost.
Now Sundin's out there against Muller. Muller won the draw cleanly, but Ron Finn didn't like the way he dropped it, so he'll do it again.
What is it, 2,100 games?
2,100 regular season and playoff games for Ron Finn. This time Sundin won it cleanly. Gusarov leading the Nordiques to center. Now Lesishin takes over. Sundin in the corner, Nolan and Rusinski are up front. Gusarov the other point man. Lesishin, wrist shot goes wide. Dano past Gusarov and down the ice. 35 seconds left in Matt Schneider's minor. Gusarov away from Dion. Kamensky lost control, and it's back out into the center ice area. Duchesne hounded by Dion and Domfus. Here's Dion breaking in on that left wing again. Watched by Duchesne. Dion hangs on, and it goes off the side of the net. Domfus in the corner. Stood up against that hit from Gusarov, and now Kamensky taking off down right wing as Schneider returns to the ice. Kamensky trying to burst in. Oh, and he just shot it wide. The red light flashed on, but Kamensky just rolled it wide of the post. Kamensky celebrating his 27th birthday today, and he almost tied it for Quebec. And as the fans at the Colisée buzzing, but it's still 1-0 Montreal. Young at the line, and it's offside. Lapointe was in ahead of the play.
Well, so far, very good as far as the intensity of this hockey game is concerned. 14 shots on goal in the first 10 minutes and 52 seconds, and the Nordiques have 8 of them, and there is Valery Kamensky. Missed most of last year with a broken leg, suffered getting ready in the Soviet side of things, the Russian side for the Canada Cup, and there, after sitting out this year with a broken thumb and a broken ankle, he had a good scoring chance. But he's one of the reasons, Chris, that a lot of people think the Nordiques could have overall the best team speed in the NHL. One player who gives them that, Andrei Kovalenko, is not playing tonight. He's out with back spasms. Another player from Russia. He's played very well against Montreal this year.
That replay showed that Patrick Roy did get a piece of that. Had he not, it would have been tied. Schneider tries to clear it in, but it hit foot. He'll get another chance. Back to Brisebois. Lapointe chasing him. Comes round the boards for Benoit Brunet in the middle to DiPietro. Now here's Bellows crossing the line. Tries to break through. Bellows had another chance at it. Brunet quickly on the puck. Bellows in the corner against Foot, and Ricci takes over for Quebec. Mike Ricci to Lapointe. Rink wide, Scott Young. Young's pass broken up by Schneider. Back come the Canadiens. DiPietro, wrist shot right on. Gusarov for Quebec. Long pass, here's Joe Sakic on the backhand right on. Muller clears the rebound.
See, that's what the Nordiques do so well, and did it this year against Montreal, especially in Montreal.
Kirk Muller back with Schneider. His shot deflecting to the corner. Great pace to this first period. Kamensky's back on the ice. Craig Wolanin down the left side. Sakic's loose again. Mike Huff goes to the net, and he just deflects it wide. That hit the side of the net, didn't miss by much. Boy, Joe Sakic's had a strong first period.
Boy, he did that one night in Montreal, got a breakaway and scored. Same thing, sneaks in behind the defense. And they throw that puck up so well.
7.5 minutes to go. First period, 1-0 Montreal, and a goal by Gilbert Dion. Back in comes Kamensky. Nolan going to the front of the net. Kamensky hangs on, tripped up, and it comes outside the line for the Canadiens. Leclerc, 3-on-1, cross ice it goes. Daigneault back in front, cleared by Duchesne. Puck came outside the line, a delayed offside, and they now make the call with 7:08 to go here in the first.
And the defense and the players in the neutral zone have to be always on the alert.
Denny Savard and Martin Rucinski were fencing as that faceoff took place. Up on the mesh and quickly called down as Finn and Savard meet at the net.
Pierre Pagé does everything here in Quebec. He is one of those coach and general managers. His team finishing in second place with 104 points. There's no doubt they have the depth on offense and the team speed that we mentioned, and the pace of this game right now lately, you can see that. On the road, they had the best record in the National Hockey League this season, and of course Ron Hextall's playoff experience. They talk about him puck handling right there. Not only puck handling, he's one of the 6 Nordiques in uniform tonight who's actually scored a goal in the playoffs. But it's the speed that this team has that the other teams have to watch, and I think we've seen a good example of it here, Chris, through this last sequence of 3 or 4 minutes. We've got the crowd back in the game. But the Canadiens will play it patiently. That's what they've done in the games here in Quebec when they won 3 out of 4.
Carbonneau on the ice with Leclerc and Savard now. Position around the boards. Here's Owen Nolan. Rink wide it goes for Rucinski. Sundin breaking to the net. Rucinski hanging on. Shovels it. Nolan can't get the shot away. He was all tied up. And a hooking penalty coming up against Montreal.
See, the Quebec offense is starting to pick things up here in the first period, and the Canadiens are forced into penalties. Schneider went a while back, following in on Ricci, and I think it's going to be Guy Carbonneau who gets the penalty for the hook here. And if we can pick it up. There's the save by Roy. There's the hook coming in as he follows in with Owen Nolan. A lot of parents here today. Owen's father's here from Thorold. Kirk Muller's mother's here from Kingston. Everybody gets in on the act at playoff time. The Canadiens not only lose Guy Carbonneau, but of course he is one of their regular penalty killers up front. Another look at it here. We can spot Carbonneau hanging on to Nolan. I suppose in the vernacular that might be termed a good penalty. So the Nordiques with their second straight power play chance. Canadiens don't play that aggressively killing penalties. They're not like Boston, for example, but they play that box inside their own line. And Demers just hopes that they stay within their game plan in that regard.
Sundin, Nolan, Rucinski, Sakic, and Duchesne for the Nordiques. And Kirk Muller against Sundin on this faceoff. And Pare is going to chase Sundin out.
Home teams won, or visiting teams rather, won 2 of the 3 games this afternoon, and tonight, though it's early, the visitors are leading in all 3 games underway.
Canadiens control from the face-off, and they get it past Duchesne down the ice. It's interesting to hear so many coaches talk about a preference to start on the road. It seems in vogue now to try and get that first split on the road, then come home. Sundin hits the line. There's Sakic left side. Shot goes high. And the puck slid out past the blue line, and Muller is hooked up by Rucinski. Play continues, much to the relief of the Nordiques fans. Sakic to Sundin. Tried to roll it back through, hit own line. Nolan on it. Gave it away, and Muller gets it out to center. Sundin turns with 1 minute and 15 seconds to go in this Nordiques power play. Mike Keane traps the puck. Now it comes free. Duchesne reaches for it against Dom Foose. Penalty killing the Canadiens look sharp right now. Eric Desjardins with the chance to fire it out, and he does the length of the ice. 5:13 to go. First period, 43 seconds left in the minor penalty. It's 1-0 Montreal. Kamensky. Desjardins watching him. And another loose puck is shot down the ice. This one by Gilbert Dion. Steve Duchesne up ahead. Rink wide for Young and Ricci. Inside the line, Lasician moving up, but it was batted out of midair, kept in by Gusarov. Gusarov with one move, walking in, now passes it in front. And the Nordiques elected not to shoot. Tried the give and go, and back comes Dom Foose. Here's Daigneault's shot blocked by Lasician. Now the Nordiques, 4-on-2. Young with Ricci. Canadians got back quick because the penalty is over, and here's Bellows at center ice. Tough break for the Nordiques as the penalty expired at the worst possible time. Brunet circled the net, and now the rookie Chris Simon just flips it out for Quebec.
That was a fine play by Curtis Lasician when the Canadians broke down ice. The only man back, and he broke it up.
Brunet to DiPietro. DiPietro with a nice move. Dion has room. Back to DiPietro, and it hit a leg, and they went off stride.
Hextall way out of the net again. If that puck doesn't hit somebody's skate on the way across, it's a wide open net.
Oh, DiPietro got it slide off his stick right onto his goaltender. Furious action at Le Colisée, where the Canadiens have a 1-goal lead. Look at Paul Stewart. There's a shot right from the point. Paul told me last night that he recounted some stories about playing in Quebec. Here's a chance, Leclerc! Oh, wide open net, and he hit the side of the net. John Leclerc will be thinking about that one. Kirk Muller reaching for it against Sakic.
Ron Hextall was caught out of the net a moment ago. They didn't score. Inexplicably, he gives up that rebound right to John Leclerc. Call that over anxiousness, Chris, maybe? Boy, Canadians could be up by 3 here.
3:03 left in the first period. Sakic now, back for Quebec. The point going to the net, and the shot deflecting over the glass. Out of play, but John Leclerc will be thinking about the one that got away.
Ron Hextall has played much better against the Canadiens this year in Montreal than has been the case here in Quebec. Now, this is the play where he just has the puck and he just loses it. And look at Leclerc, went off the heel of his stick. As the cliche goes, he didn't get good wood on it, but maybe he took his eye off, maybe, who knows. But what a great scoring chance that was for Montreal. And the Montreal player blew it. John Leclerc. And Hextall's breathing a sigh or two.
Shots are 11-8 in favor of Quebec. But there have been a number of close calls at either end that have just gone wide. The foot moving in. Slot, the shot off a couple of ankles. And it's out to center ice. Daigneault trying to pull away from the pesky Lapointe. Keane off the boards and out to center. Ricci just drops it off. And now Dom Foose. Desjardins just clears it in, and Keane will give chase. Hextall again out of the net. Adam Foote drops it off to Lasician. Pass in front to Ricci, and now the Nordiques neatly come to center. Lapointe clearing it in, and both teams will make changes. Wanted to mention Paul Stewart talking about his days in Quebec, but he said the coach he really wanted to play for was the guy you'll see in the first intermission, Don Cherry.
Hey, the dressing room would have been lively.
Bellows in the corner, Carbonneau's in front. There's Denis Savard. Some veterans on the ice for the Canadiens right now, and the pass went right to rookie Rasinski of Quebec. Right side for Nolan. That's broken up by Matt Schneider. Schneider missed a lot of games down the stretch, but feels he's getting back into top shape. Played over 30 minutes in the Canadiens' final game in Buffalo. Nolan at the line. Nice move past Carbonneau. Owen Nolan. Sundin is trailing, and he couldn't control it. Schneider starts back for the Canadiens with Bellows. Bellows drops it off. Not much flow there, and Schneider couldn't get loose. Steve Duchesne out at center ice. Sundin streaking down the left side. And out of the goal, and now under a minute to go in the first period.
Chris, you have to wonder with the Quebec speed and the breakaway type plays that we saw with Sakic here earlier, just how anxious the Montreal defense will be to rush. They've got to be looking over their shoulder.
He missed most of the year with an injury. Pass intercepted by DiPietro. There's a shot deflected. Hextall down again. Brunet in front, and he's cleared out of there. And Hextall has it on the line. And that draws the crowd, and a few skirmishes going on.
Well, DiPietro started after something, and somebody grabbed it. He just wanted his stick. Benoit Brunet was the man in the middle that time. As we take a look at it here, this is nothing new for Ron Hextall to be involved here. But one thing I noticed about Hextall, I wonder in his early days in Philadelphia if he would have reacted the same way. He went as if he was upset, but now he's learned to cool it a bit. He admits that. And he was caught in the middle there again, and the puck in the goal crease.
Chance for Brunet, almost on the line. Bellows earlier, the empty net that Leclerc just missed.
Well, you mentioned the shots, Chris. It now stands 12-10 in favor of the Nordiques, but when you look back at the good scoring opportunities, you'd have to think Montreal's had the majority of those.
32 seconds to go in this first period. And Muller against Sakic. Muller kicks it back to Bellows. Through the goal crease, and now Kamensky will turn with Huff and Sakic. Valerie Kamensky snaps the shot wide. Bellows on right wing, lead pass Leclerc. Lost control at the Nordiques line. Sakic with time running down in the period. Gusarov, weak shot, steered aside. Sakic can't keep it in at the line. Last chance maybe for Muller here. Kirk Muller, the shot blocked by Wolanin, and Neil clear at the siren.
Well, that's a pretty good period of hockey. We often talk in playoff hockey about teams testing one another in the first period of what could be a long series. These guys didn't do anything like that. They just took off and gave us some pretty good entertainment. I think Red may be able to relate, though, because he admits that sometimes he got to be so much of a fan he'd watch the game and miss the odd call.
Now we're underway with the second period. The shots on goal were 12-10 in favor of the home team, but Canadiens had some great scoring chances in that first. It could have been 4-0 Montreal.
And they come back to haunt them. Oh, those missed chances.
Paul DiPietro had a strong first period. He breaks in with Brunet. Sharp angle shot. Brunet tried the wraparound. Here's Odeline shot kicked out by Hextall. It was knocked off balance. 2-on-1 Nordiques. Sundin and Nolan. Nolan fanned on the shot. And the Nordiques really misplayed that 2-on-1. Rusinski keeps it alive. Shot on goal. Kicked out by Waugh. Canadiens turn it up ice. Dion. There's Brunet inside the line, waits for help, and just hands it to Nolan. Finds Sundin, who missed the pass. And Schneider, right wing feed, Odeline moves up, he's hit by Foot, stays with it. Centering pass, John Leclerc knocked off the puck by Lesishin, and back comes Kamensky, the smooth skating forward to Mike Huff, and his shot went 3 feet wide. Kirk Muller drops it off. Bellows shot right on, and Hextall hangs on with John Leclerc hanging around the net.
Both these teams have a lot of extra bodies around, not in uniform tonight for Quebec. Jacques Luce, Kerry Huffman, and Mikhail Tatarinov, 2 defensemen getting over injuries. Tony Twist, Andrei Kovalenko with the back spasms, and rookie David Karpa. Ron Hextall grabbing that particular shot. We've had some end-to-end action right here. There's a good back of the net view, and Hextall saw that one all the way. Not playing for Montreal in this game. Rob Ramage, he's hurt. Gary Lehman also getting over an ankle injury, and extra players. The designated sitters are Jesse Belanger, Donald Dufresne, Todd Ewan, and defenseman Sean Hill. Ryan Bellows has had a lot of playoff experience with the Minnesota North Stars. Made the Stanley Cup Finals a couple of years ago. And the North Stars ran up against Mario and company, but took them to 6 games.
Brian had a great run that year with 29 points in the '91 Stanley Cup playoffs. Craig Wolanin was on an '88 New Jersey team that surprised a lot of people going to the Final Four. Wolanin fighting forward at center ice. Kirk Muller knocked it free for Leclerc. Working in against Gusarov, and the Russian defenseman makes the check. When Wolanin's healthy, this is the best pairing for the Nordiques. Gusarov and Wolanin. Huff clearing it in. Ricci checking, and he was knocked off stride by Desjardins. Bellows turning in his own zone. Feeds ahead to Kirk Muller. Muller against Wolanin. And now some room for Desjardins. Shot right on, rebound, and oh, Muller rolled it wide. Another gaping net that the Canadiens miss. Canadiens seem to have a manpower edge there as Kamensky behind the play went to the bench. He appeared to be shaken up deep in the Canadian zone after Montreal went down ice. Leschyshyn off the boards. Cleared ahead by Lapointe to Sakic. Catching up on the right side is Young with foot, and it's broken up by Keane. And Leschyshyn has to wait for his mates to get on side. Now fires it in. Lapointe to the point. Foot shot deflects wide. At the side of the net, Sakic looked for it, but Brisebois has it. Foot keeps it in again. Brisebois. And it comes to Mike Keane. Long pass behind Damphousse, right in on Hextall. He clears to the corner. Picked up by LeBeau. LeBeau tries to center it. Keane banned on it. He's knocked down by Sakic. Back come the Nordiques. Scott Young to the line. 30-goal scorer this year. Shot right on. Mike Keane against Sakic. Rink wide, broken up by Gino Cavallini. Long shot, gloved by Waugh. Nordiques make a change, and it's Keane. Pounded by Cavallini. Here's Chris Simon. His pass off the side of the net goes to Sundin. In the corner, back it comes. Duchesne shot right on. Simon the rebound. Behind the net for Cavallini, and LeBeau falls on it and gets a whistle. 3 minutes, 50 seconds gone in the second period. Canadiens still lead by 1. Here it's 1-0 Canadiens. Early second period. Steve Duchesne at center. There's Simon flipping it back in. Simon part of that large package of players that came from Philadelphia for Eric Lindros. Sundin centers it. Duchesne, the shot that went high. Steve Duchesne cheating in from the blue line, and Sundin spotted him, and that came close for Quebec.
In a way, Mikey Carbonneau almost set up a goal for Quebec. There's a lot of jitteriness in evidence tonight on both sides. There's one right here, giveaway time in the other zone.
Savard spun around, Hextall out of the net, tries to clear it, but that hit a teammate's ankle. And Odeline flips it back in. Duchesne after it against Schneider, kept in by DiPietro. And now the Nordiques have room to move it out. Simon from his side of center right on. Patrick Waugh to Odeline, a lead pass to Savard. I think that's where Patrick wanted to pass it, but Odeline cut off the pass. Nordiques were on a line change. Now Rusinski for Quebec. Reeling in with Sakic, shot, and oh, that didn't miss by much. That was a blast.
That was a good shot. Top shelf, just over the crossbar.
Lead pass at center to Sakic and Nolan. Owen Nolan on his wrong wing, puts on the brakes, blew a tire, but Sakic in front. Poke check by Waugh. Nordiques starting to turn up the speed a bit now. Daigneault can't clear it. He's watched by Nolan. Sakic, Rusinski's in front, and DiPietro broke it up. Out at center ice for Dion. This has been a good line for Montreal. Dion shot handled easily by Hextall. Rusinski watched by Brunet. And Gusarov has it now. 6 minutes gone. Second period, 1-0 Canadiens. Sakic clears it in and goes to the bench. Dion flips it ahead for Leclerc. Broken up by Mike Hopp. He clears it down into the Canadian zone. Haller back to touch it, and icing is the call.
Very few icing calls in the game so far. It's hard to imagine that a player who has established the reputation Joe Sakic has is playing in his first Stanley Cup game. This is his 5th National Hockey League season, and he has turned in a dandy first 25 minutes or so. And he is very much a factor. And his line, you mentioned the DiPietro line, Chris, but the Sakic line has been the most dangerous for Quebec. And there's that shot that got by Roy's outstretched glove, but then missed high.
15th player picked in the '87 draft for the Nordiques, same year that they last participated in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's been a long wait for Sakic and the Nordiques. 5 last place finishes before they turned it up this year. Boy, 3 years ago, this team had just 31 points.
All right, last season they didn't win a road game until the 5th of March.
This year, they're the best team on the road in the NHL.
Exactly. You talk about the Quebec turnaround, and indeed it has been remarkable. And I think that perhaps, to me, that is the most outstanding part of it, is the way that they have played on the road. Well, '87, the last time the Nordiques played in the Stanley Cup playoffs, they lost to the Canadiens. And there are only 4 players in uniform tonight who were in that series. Mike Huff and Stephen Finn for Quebec, Patrick Roy and Guy Carbonneau for Montreal. The coach of the Canadiens at that time, Jean Perron, is in the building tonight. He's now a radio commentator. He took the place of Jacques Demers, who was the color commentator on the Nordiques radio games the previous 2 years.
Well, because there are so few holdovers from the old battles of Quebec, this one does not start with the same bitter feelings as the early '80s.
No, you haven't got anybody to hate, the fans. Like there was the Dale Hunter situation. Mario Tremblay was an agitator for Montreal. You had Michel Bergeron. Before Perron, there was Jacques Lemaire, and he and Bergeron were always at each other's throat. And all that did was end up on the first front page of the newspapers all the time. These guys are a little different. And I think the turnaround here in Quebec is a little more dramatic than a lot of people thought. There is a big sign up here that they have during the games. They unfolded 6 times. Merci, Eric.
As the trade Pierre Pagé swung, was the final piece in the turnaround puzzle for this Nordique team. Kamensky battling for it. Sundin knocked it free. There's Lapointe trying to center it. He's usually the 4th line center, but he's up there now with Kamensky and Sundin trying to get some offense going. And Kamensky missed the pass, and he was in pretty good shooting range. Interesting, you mentioned about the newspaper war of words in the old days. Canadians don't read the papers anymore. Here's Sundin moving in. Sundin, and he's checked by Odelay.
Boy, that's quite a matchup. The pride of Quill Lake, Saskatchewan, Lyle Odelay stopping Matt Sundin. 12:22 left, second period, 1-0 Montreal.
12 minutes, 22 seconds to go, second period. Still 1-0 Montreal. Carbonneau and Sakic facing it off. Krasinski forechecking for the Nordiques. Finn pinching in behind the net. Nolan knocked down by Daigneault, and a penalty coming up against J.J. Daigneault, and the Nordiques get another chance on the power play.
They had 2 power plays in the first period. The first one wasn't bad. The Canadiens seemed to totally control them on the second with Carbonneau in the box. Montreal yet to have a power play tonight. Daigneault goes now. First penalty called by Paul Stewart here in the second period comes at 7:50. In behind the Canadiens' net, Desjardins took a run at somebody, but there's the hook or the boarding, whatever it's going to be called here. And Daigneault's gone for 2. Again, the quickness of the Nordiques drawing penalties in the Canadian zone. Closed captions for tonight's show, funded by Household Canada. So boarding the call on the Canadiens defenseman, J.J. Daigneault. And you live dangerously against this Quebec team in this building when you continue to get penalties, as we mentioned, the 3rd straight. Here's the hook right there, or the board they call it.
And the Nordiques win the draw, but it comes past Sakic and out to center ice. Good job by the Canadiens penalty killers in the first period. Here's Mike Ricci flipping it in. Ricci, along with Young and Sundin, Duchesne and Sakic, who plays the right point and lost it to Muller. and Duchesne has to go quickly back to get it. Muller and Keane, the penalty killers, with Schneider and Odeline for the Canadiens. Now Sakic hits the line, rink wide for Young. Leaves it there for Sundin in front, and Ricci fanned on the shot. Cleared by Keane down the ice. Young hits Sakic with it. It slides into the corner. Minute 7 to go on the power play. Ricci takes it free for Sundin. Duchesne shot well wide. And Brunet quickly after it skates down the left wing. Carbonneau catching up on the play. Brunet gets the shot on goal. Carbonneau looking for the rebound, tied up by Sundin. Now Curtis Leschyshyn starts back. Native of Thompson, Manitoba. Up ahead to Sundin. And it's broken up by Desjardins, past Leschyshyn, and back into the Quebec end. Minute to go in the power play. Carbonneau knocked it free, but it's Kamensky. There's the shot right on Duchesne, but Patrick Roy makes the stop.
25 seconds left on the Montreal penalty to Daigneault. Chris, interesting stat on these teams. Nordiques finished 2 points ahead of the Canadiens, which really was the margin in the season series between the two. So if you look at it that way, against the other 22 teams in the NHL, these teams had exactly the same record. Steve Duchesne with his third NHL club, started out a few years in LA, 1 year in Philadelphia, and then was part of the Merci Eric trade. Took him a while to get here, but he made it late in the training camp.
Fourth among defensive scorers in the NHL this year, behind Phil Housley, Paul Coffey, and Larry Murphy. And now it's Lapointe at center with Kirk Muller on this faceoff. Nolan and Kamensky also up front for the Nordiques. Leschyshyn and Gusarov, who chases into the corner to get the puck. In front's Leschyshyn, and he couldn't handle the pass. Tried the one-timer, and it floated harmlessly off the stick to the corner. Well, that was a great chance, and now play whistle down.
All of the Quebec forwards and the high-scoring offense they have, and the defensemen combined. Let's check with Ron now for another. No, we don't have it yet. Okay. Well, there is Valerie Kamensky. I mentioned about the broken leg last year, the broken ankle this year. Kind of reminds me of the young fellow who broke in with the Montreal Canadiens back in the early 40s. Broke his leg the year before he came to the Canadiens, just as Kamensky did. Broke his ankle early in the season, just like Kamensky did his first full year. He did all right after that. A chap named Maurice Richard. Told Kamensky's agent, Mike Barnett, that story. He said, I'm going to tell him. I said, do you think he's heard of Rocket Richard? Oh, yeah. He says, I think he has.
Just 9 seconds to go in the power play. And the Nordiques in danger of going 0 for 3. Lapointe rams Schneider into the boards. He's slow to get up. The Canadiens' penalties expired. Daigneault on the ice now. Bellows scores! What a rocket!
Chris mentioned about the playoff production of Brian Bellows. I wonder if Hextall was ready for this shot. Bellows approaching the blue line, and he just winds up and fires it. I don't think it hit the defenseman who was in front, Wolanin. And Bellows with a big blast from about 7 feet inside the blue line beats Hextall inside the post, stick side. And the Canadiens celebrate a 2-0 lead, just 2 seconds shy of the halfway point here in this second period. Now, Matthew Schneider, I was watching him, Chris, as that rush went up. You mentioned he was slow to get up, and indeed he was. And the Canadiens therapist, Gaetan Lefebvre, came out on the ice and helped Schneider to the bench a little bit, and he has been shaken up. But there is Brian Bellows, who in 81 playoff games for Minnesota had 84 scoring points, and he gets his first as a member of the Canadiens.
35th Stanley Cup playoff goal for Brian Bellows, and it's 2-0 Canadiens. 9:58 the time of the goal, 8 seconds after J.J. Daigneault had returned to the ice, and Daigneault gets an assist on the goal. Also Eric Desjardins. Now Now the Canadiens back for more. Domfus inside the line. Haller going to the net. Domfus hangs on. That backhand hit the behind the goal. Domfus chases after it again. Centers it. Huff's lost his stick. Tried to kick it away. LeBeau is there. His shot hit a skate. And now Scott Young at center for Quebec. He's knocked down by Brisebois. Domfus with the backhand pass to Savard, who clears it in and goes to the Canadiens bench. Nordiques down by 2 on home ice, and the pattern of the regular season continues here. Here's Rosinsky in front. Strange hop off the boards, and that was almost a scoring chance. Puck slides down the ice. Leschyshyn got there first and icing the call. Dion in the first period, Bellows in the second, have Canadiens on top. It's a quiet finish to the regular season for McGillney. Went scoreless in a number of games before 2 in the final. Big goal there, though. And the Nordiques need a big goal here. 8:40 to go, second period, down by 2. Nolan batting it out of midair in front. Rosinsky can't get the backhand away. DiPietro at center. Lost control. Dion follows up. Brunet, the back pass, scooped up by Sundin, who pulls away. Matt Sundin inside the line, 3-on-2. Leschyshyn back to Sundin. Oh, Patrick Roy came across. Great save off Matt Sundin.
Boy, that was Matt Sundin at his best. He led the Nordiques this year in points. And boy, he just flew out of his own zone. They got enough first picks on this team to do you for a while, or the result of first picks. But he brought this puck out from just inside his own blue line. Nice feathery pass to Leschyshyn, and Sundin cruises in this position on the pass from Leschyshyn. And Patrick Roy, very sharp, has stopped all 20 shots the Nordiques have fired at him. That was a tough chance, but he made it. Very skillful hockey player. You hear the word skill used by hockey people when they talk about the Quebec team, and there's one perfect example of a fellow who's got a lot of it. Matthew Schneider, shaken up, as Chris mentioned, on a play that just prior to the Bellows goal, just on that rush up the ice, has gone to the Canadiens dressing room. He missed 24 games starting the 25th of January because of an ankle injury.
The official Bellows scoring play, his first of the playoffs, from Muller and Desjardins at 9:58.
Well, the Stanley Cup playoffs underway on this date, the 18th of April. Pierre Pagé and company involved here this afternoon. Brett Hull with the winner and a power play. The Blues beat the Blackhawks. The Kings over the Flames big time. They had a big lead early and kept it going. They scored 16 seconds into the game. Mario with 4 points. The Penguins, that's their 12th straight playoff win. The Islanders leading Washington. Ray Ferraro the goal. You have seen the goals coming in from Boston, where the Sabres have the 3-2 lead. And it's 2-0 here, Montreal over Quebec.
Claude Lapointe on the ice with Scott Pearson now. Pearson, the former Leaf, and Scott Young on the ice. We haven't seen much of Pearson in this game. Pagé going to his bench to try and get a spark. Finn being forechecked by Denis Savard, and now it comes out to center. Lapointe after it. He's behind Desjardins. Lapointe in, and he lost control of it at the top of the goal crease. Quick little center iceman for the Nordiques. Pearson in the corner against Eric Desjardins. Steve Finn is pinched in, and the Nordiques defenseman will take some chances now to get the offense going. Haller at center ice. Dumps it in, heads to the bench. 7:11 to go. Second period. 2-0 Montreal. First period goal by Gilbert Dion and Brian Bellows midway through the second. John Leclerc at the line, stopped by Duchesne. Daniel, Muller. Huff back to get it. There's Bellows looking for a loose puck. Sakic on him. Hextall clears it away, and out they come. Huff to Kamensky. Back to Huff. And it's offside at the line as a deflection slowed the play up. Bob Cole, Harry Neal, Ron McLean, Don Cherry will be at Maple Leaf Gardens tomorrow. And at the Pacific Coliseum, Steve Armitage, John Garrett, and Scott Oak will bring you all the action of that Smythe Division semifinal. John Leclerc sending it in. Gusarov for the Nordiques. Wolanin, Hoff had to go between his skates, and Daigneault fires it in wide, comes out in front. There's a shot by Muller. Hextall out of the net, but Sundin picked up the rebound and skates to center. Sundin against Brisebois. Regroups now, feeds across. Huff shot goes wide. And it's up on the mesh, and Huff can't dig it free in time.
Well, we talked about Sundin, but right there again, that play, his dexterity, and it helps set things up. We talked about the players who were here when these teams last played. Mike Huff in his 7th season, 9 playoff games in 1987. Former captain of the Quebec Nordiques. Gave up that role to Joe Sakic when Joe established himself as this team's #1 player. Boy, there's been a lot of open net in behind Ron Hextall, Chris, on several occasions in this hockey game. He's in a wandering mood tonight. Might have cost him the first goal to some degree on the Dion play in the first period, and he's escaped unscathed, but fortunate to do so a few more times.
Ron Hextall's the last goaltender to shut out the Nordiques here at the Colisée. When he played for the Philadelphia Flyers, Sakic being held by Haller. That got a reaction. Foot puts it just wide of the net. Desjardins against Sakic in the corner. Lesishin pinching in. Keane does get it by him. Pass Rasinski out to center as well. Keane chops at it in the center ice area. Dom Foose chasing after it. There's Hextall. He can wield that stick. Almost be a third defenseman for the Nordiques at times. Rasinski in his own zone around the boards for Nolan. Flow for the Nordiques right now not as good as we had seen earlier in the game. LeBeau looking for Dom Foose, broken up, and now out comes Quebec led by Owen Nolan. Lesishin is trailing. Nolan takes a look at his shot. Hit the stick of Odeline. LeBeau feeds it ahead. Keane gives chase down right wing, but LaPointe's after it first as Keane goes to the bench. Lead pass for Scott Pearson. His shot deflects wide, and Patrick Roy fields it off the backboards and hangs on for a faceoff. At Le Colisée, and the home team needs a goal. There's a shot drilled just wide. Duchesne. Young and a nice pass to Pearson, checked by Gilbert Dion. Back to get it, Eric Desjardins. Up front for the Canadiens right now, Dion, DiPietro, and Benoit Brunet. Haller and Desjardins on the points. Pearson, Young. Lapointe skates to the bench now. Sundin's back out. It's a rolling puck into the Quebec zone. When it's touched, icing is the call. Brunet was offside otherwise.
The Canadiens tried something Friday night. They went down to Bromont in the Eastern Townships. They tried the power of positive videos. There's Andre Rasico. There's no room in the visitors' side for the backup goaltender, so he's on the other side with some of the Canadian staff. That's Dr. Eric Lenzner behind him, and the benches are across from where he is. Anyway, to complete the videos. So they showed the players the videos like a good goal, a good body check, Patrick some good saves, show any of the bad stuff, you know, just to try to pump them up.
Rod Corey tried that with Patrick Roy earlier to replay some of his great moments from 1986, and it worked. And I guess another look has really helped Patrick Roy tonight too. He has been sensational. You know, Matt Steiner was saying this morning what he learned from the videos was how close every game was. Each game was decided by one goal, so a mistake would be critical. Here's Huck. Passed in the slot, and Denny Savard with the back-checking job took it away from Sundin. Huff can't handle that pass, and it's Daigneault around the boards, past Gusarov and down the ice. Adam Foote back to touch it, icing against the Canadiens. 3:21 left. second period.
We talk about the home ice and lack of same being an advantage as far as these teams are concerned. And here you see in the playoff history with these teams, the visiting teams won 60%. That's an interesting situation with the Islanders and Washington in their series, because this season, in the 7 games those teams played, the visiting team won all 7. And in this particular matchup, in the Adams division, Montreal and Quebec, the visiting team won 6 of the 7. Quebec won the first game played here. Montreal won the next 3. The Nordiques were 3 for 3 at the Forum. And you know, Chris, none of the games are really close. The visiting teams won, and they won decisively.
All kinds of theories on why that's been the case here in Quebec and that they have not dominated at home like they have played on the road. Pierre Paget is a new sports psychologist. He even thought that maybe with so many young players and bachelors, they weren't eating well enough at home where they have to cook their own meals. Rick Muller at center ice. He's taking the boards by foot. They get their gloves up at each other. Rusinski has a hold on Leclerc. There's Bellows with the loose puck. Ryan Bellows coming in front. His shot is blocked. And back comes Sakic, but he lost it off the end of his stick. Hextall out of the goal. Up to Rusinski. 12 players in this Quebec lineup, 23 years of age or under. Ask them whether inexperience will be a factor in this series. Coaches say they just got to find out, let them get the experience and see where it takes them. Rusinski and John Leclerc tied up, and now Nolan. Owen Nolan with Sakic on his left side. There's the shot, and that at the top of the glass comes down, but play whistled down as it looked like it was going out of play.
2:20 to go here in the second period. And here is the Nordiques president and boss man, Marcel Aubu, one of the high-profile front office men. And Gilles Leger is with him to his right. And is that Ron McLean? By golly, it is. Up there in the high-price seat, Gilles Leger once coached our broadcast buddy John Garrett when they were in the World Hockey Association with the Toronto Toros. And I think Ron is there. Did you notice he had the microphone at the ready? I have a feeling that we might hear Ron in conversation with Marcel Aubu in the upcoming second intermission, which isn't that far away. This game has had a good pace to it. It has moved right along. Not many penalties. The Nordiques have had all the power plays. They're 0 for 3, and it's been a big reason why the Canadiens have a 2-0 lead.
There's the shot by Finn, and loose puck in front for Lapointe. Finn goes to the net, and it deflects off him over the glass and out of play. So stay with us in the second intermission as Ron chats with Marcel Aubu.
Talk about the youth on the Quebec team. Not many veterans. Stephen Finn's in his 7th season. He played junior in Laval, where Mario once played, and played in 13 playoff games in 1987. I don't think he felt then, because the Nordiques had a pretty good hockey club, that he would go from 1987 to 1993 and not have a playoff appearance.
Steve's a native of Laval. 2:02 to go in period 2. And it's 2-0 Canadiens. That's Sundin. It's been dangerous on almost every shift. Rolls it in on Patrick Waugh. Sundin after it again in the corner. Rangy player Sundin again, flipped it in front, hit Lapointe. Lapointe after it against Keane. He hooks him down. Play continues. Sundin from his knees, trying to knock it free, but the Canadiens take over, and Mike Keane just dumps it towards the blue line. Steve Duchesne turning Kamensky. Sundin after it again as long reach gets him the puck. Matt Sundin takes a look. Can't center it against J.J. Daigneault. Kamensky following up, lost control, and back comes Stéphane Lebeau. Dom Foose, Keane on his wrong wing against Steve Finn. Lebeau in the corner against Kamensky. Lebeau comes up with it, Dom Foose centers it, and Hextall hangs on. And we're into the final minute of this second period.
Vincent Damphousse has just done something that I wonder if any other player has ever done. He led the Canadiens in scoring this year. Damphousse tops on the team with 97 points. That's the 3rd straight year he has led his team in point scoring, and it's the third different team in 3 years. 2 years ago it was Toronto. Last year it was the Edmonton Oilers. This season, the Montreal Canadiens. I just wonder if that's ever happened before.
Some questions about Vincent coming into this playoff, in that he has just 23 playoff points in 39 games, and there was talk in Edmonton that the Oilers were a little unhappy with his postseason. Right from the face-off, loose puck, Hextall down and got some help from Gusarov. It looked like that shot was going wide, but again, Hextall well out of the net. And Gusarov finally gets control of it in the final minute of the second period. And Sakic has some room down the left wing. Sakic goes to the backhand. His drop pass wasn't far enough back, and DiPietro speeds away. Desjardins trying to make it 2-on-1. Desjardins, Hextall down.
Joe Sakic against Desjardins coming back. Sakic's speed pays off. Defensively that time for Quebec.
They tried to send Sakic away on a breakaway there, but after the defensive play, he was out of gas. Final 10 seconds of the period. Hextall does some stick handling, and that will do it. Play just underway, third period, as we welcome you back to the Colisée. Chris Cuthbert with Dick Urban in the broadcast booth. Ron McLean and Don Cherry in the Hockey Night in Canada crew. Canadiens with a 2-0 lead as we start the third period. Curtis Leschyshyn on the move against Eric Desjardins. Desjardins broke it up. Brzezinski and Paul Stewart's in the middle of that. He took a hit and gets up and continues on as the Canadiens move it into Quebec territory. Dick, the Canadiens with good news on the scoreboard, but bad news from the dressing room.
Yeah, very much so. Matthew Schneider's injury, a separated shoulder. He is out indefinitely. That's what the team spokesman has just told us. I don't know how definite indefinitely is, but they have lost Schneider for tonight and likely for a while yet through this playoff, the beginning of the playoffs.
Tough injury after just coming back off an ankle problem, and he makes such a difference to the Canadiens' blue line. Stéphane Lebeau clears it back in. The problem for the Nordiques right now is solving Patrick Roy and this tight checking of the Canadiens. Craig Wolanin hits the line. Watched by Daigneault. High shot, up with his stick in the air. Now it comes free in front, loose puck, cleared away by Domfus. Gusarov have moved all the way in, but couldn't find it at the top of the crease. Domfus's check. Keane follows up inside the line, and now Huff will take over for Quebec. A good pass to Sakic. He hits the line with Nolan, but Lyle Odeline all over Joe Sakic. Good defensive coverage there. Benoit Brunet past Duchesne, cutting in, and Duchesne recovers to take over for Quebec. Ahead to Nolan. Sundin's on the ice as well. Here's the pass. Duchesne slot right on, and Patrick Roy handled that well. DiPietro now on the right wing for Dion, who opened the scoring in the first period. Brian Bellows with a goal for Montreal in the second, and that's where we stand. Kamensky, his pass broken up by Benoit Brunet. There's DiPietro in the corner. Brunet now behind the net, centers it, Dion, and oh, what a kick stop by Ron Hextall, robbing Gilbert Dion.
That's the best save he's made of the hockey game. I guess, well, about equal to the one he made off Domfus in close early in the first period. Big one.
Now Sundin back. Circling in front through the crease, and it comes to Denis Savard. The Canadiens veteran fires it in, chasing the rebound. Carbonneau swatted away by Leschyshyn. Here's a break, Lapointe. Sundin trying to catch up. Sundin after it, and the bouncing pass goes to the boards.
Boy, the Canadiens' defense getting their skating legs tested. Odeline came back there as fast as he could skate, I'll tell you.
Curtis Leschyshyn to Kamensky, lost it. Denis Savard winds up, another good stop by Hextall. Leschyshyn to Adam Foote. Cavallini on the ice for Quebec along with Chris Simon. Sakic in the middle. And an offside called. 3:27 gone. Third period. And it's still 2-0 Montreal.
So far tonight.
That save was so sharp that Nordiques goaltending coach Daniel Bouchard came over to our booth to have another look. Here's John Leclerc moving in on the backhand. Hextall out to make the stop, and he's been in the middle of traffic all night long. Ron Hextall. Here's another shot. Leclerc trying to bang it in. Bellows! Hextall down! Keeps it out. Ron Hextall, the story early in the third.
Nordiques down 2-0. You'd think that the action might be heading up the other way in that regard. But the Canadiens have had two big sequences where they could have made it 3-0. And Hextall has come to the rescue for Quebec. And Bellows, the sniper, he's got a goal in this game, gets the last crack at it. And Hextall down. And there just seems to be so much action going on around the Quebec net. Boy, he's down. He couldn't get up, but he didn't have to. Bellows couldn't put it upstairs under the crossbar, and it's in. And Hextall hung tough. And Brian Bellows is talking to somebody, but maybe talking to himself. We're going to get back to that Matthew Schneider injury. He was hit and fell down directly below our broadcast position, which is just inside the blue line. And you could see from his face when he hit, I don't know if it was the boards first, but he fell on his back on the ice, and boy, he grimaced something fierce. And you knew he was hurt the minute he went down. And it turns out to be a separated shoulder.
That play got lost in the Canadiens' second goal that happened shortly after the hit on Schneider. There's an ice problem in front of the goal crease. There's been lots of traffic, and
Canadiens have gone ahead, Chris, in the shots, 26-22. You know, there was a time not that many seasons ago, like how about last year, when the Canadiens would get a 2-0 lead and it would be like school would be out. 2-0, 3-0. It's not quite that cut and dried anymore. Well, these teams have met before in the playoffs back to 1982, and the Nordiques won it on an overtime winner by Dale Hunter, who has scored 2 goals tonight for Washington. He's still going. Then the Canadiens won in 6. That was the year of the big Good Friday fight. Then they split the next 2. Shasty scored a game winner in the 7th game, overtime.
As that graphic indicated, all the 3 of the 4 series went the distance. The other went to game 6. And you suspect this one will be a lengthy one as well. Kaminsky now working in with Lapointe, the shot off the mark. Sundin picks up the loose puck behind the net. Lapointe after it against Desjardins. Nordiques forechecking. Now Leschyshyn keeps it in. The shot. And Kaminsky couldn't redirect it. Now jabs at Kevin Haller, and they exchange some slashing, but Paul Stewart chooses to ignore it, and play continues. Leschyshyn just dumped it off as Carbonneau challenged him. Foot fires it in, and it's off Patrick Roy over the glass, out of play.
Yeah, those series you mentioned, Chris, the atmosphere maybe not quite as charged. One of the reasons we mentioned earlier, Michel Bergeron, I said that Jean Perron, who coached the Canadiens the last time these teams played in '87, is in the building tonight as a radio commentator, while Michel Bergeron is in the building tonight as a spectator. And there's been a few overtime games along the way, and the Canadiens won just one, and that was here in Quebec in '87 on a long shot goal by Mats Naslund.
We talked earlier about the feeling not being quite as bitter as the 2 teams start, but Guy Carbonneau says you take 2 teams like this and play them maybe 7 games in 14 nights, and the rivalry will be rekindled. It already is in the minds of the fans in this province. Here's Denny Savard bursting through. Lost control of it as he tried to move past Finn. In the corner, Duchesne and Bellows. Brian Bellows leads all players right now with 5 shots on goal, and he has a goal tonight, tying it up for a face-off in the Nordique zone.
Well, they played just past 5 minutes, and you wonder about the time. Only the 5th former National Hockey League player to become a referee in the NHL. Paul Stewart, his grandfather, Bill Stewart, was the coach of the Chicago Blackhawks when they won the Stanley Cup in 1938. Talk about the Rangers haven't won since 1940. Since 1938, the Blackhawks have only won it once. They haven't won it since 1961. They got off on the wrong skate today against the Blues.
You want to know why Grapes likes him so much? He played Boston once and took on all the heavyweights, O'Reilly, Winsink, and Jonathan on the same night. That'll get you respect. Steve Duchesne for the Nordiques. Got to get something going here against the Canadiens and Patrick Roy. Ricci's on the ice. Here's Rusinski. Scott Young on right wing. But Savard breaks that up. Duchesne clearing it in. Ricci's gone to the bench. Sakic comes over the boards. Brian Bellows for the Canadiens. He's dumping it out. And as you mentioned earlier, Dick, when the Canadiens get the lead, they can play it the style they want. Here's Huff almost stealing it. Desjardins can't get it by that traffic along the boards. Gets a second chance, and he'll skate with it. Right side to Dion, and he clears it in. Funny bounce. That caught Hextall behind the net. Owen Nolan moving out. Nolan inside the line. Dion up ahead to Brunet. Now the Nordiques will try again, and Nolan's pass fails to click. DiPietro scoots into the zone. Rink-wide pass for Brunet. Up, watching him. Dion circles, and the pass cut off by Nolan. Sakic now to the line against Brisebois. Good back-checking by Dion, but Sakic stays with it. Foot cheating in. Centered in front, pass to Nordiques. Lasician hops over one man. Kamensky. Nolan was knocked down, looked a little slow to get up and didn't see the pass coming, and Nolan was shaken up. He whacks at Dion. 12 minutes, 48 seconds to go. Third period still 2-0. Montreal. Kamensky on the move. He's checked by Leclerc. And the puck out of play. And a souvenir in the stands.
That's what made Nolan upset, Chris. I think he was more frustrated and looking for a penalty, slow to get up. As you say, might have cost him a bit when the pass coming in.
There's Duchesne shot, and oh, Ricci's deflection may have hit the goalpost. Close call there. Nordiques still not on the score sheet. Mike Ricci is only third in scoring among the Nordiques center icemen, but he has got many of the big goals this year for Quebec. Inside the line, Rusinski. Kept in by Ricci. And now it's center ice for Gusarov.
Crowd pumped the way it is. 2-0. You know, the Nordiques could get a goal. It's going to just change the total atmosphere in this building.
Right now, you can feel the anxiety and not much noise. There's a shot by Kamensky, kicked out. Behind the net, Sundin waiting for it, and it's in the goal crease, covered by Patrick Roy. With another update, here's Ron. A long time. Tom Foose out for the Canadiens with Mike Keane and LeBeau. Sundin, Lapointe, and Kamensky for Quebec. That's Lapointe. Rink wide. Gets to Gusarov inside the line, drops it back, Kamensky. Still with it in the corner. Spins away from Brisebois, drops it off Sundin. There's Wolanin moving in, Nolan as well. Neither could get the puck, and the Canadiens clear it to an open wing. Desjardins tried to send away Keane. Hextall in the goal. Kamensky to Matt Sundin. 114 regular season points, overskates it, and it's flipped over the glass, out of play. 10:43 to go, third period here. Savard is, Verdeno is checked, but on the second try gets it outside the line. Now Sakic. Back in, Nolan and Huff are his line mates. He centers it in front, Nolan after it. Huff chasing it down in the corner. There's Lasician as the defense has moved right up now. Sakic trying to spin away from J.J. Daigneault. 19 of the Nordiques. Still with it. That hit Carbonneau and comes outside the line.
Good job by Sakic.
Assistant coach Don Jackson of the Nordiques was telling me that when the Nordiques fall behind like this, sometimes youthful inexperience causes them to try and be too individual. I don't think they're passing as sharply as we saw them in the first period there. Up it comes to Duchesne. He hits the line. Sundin following up. Takes a look, now just flips it behind the goal. Finn has pinched in. There's Lapointe. Sundin hovering near the side of the net. Lapointe still fighting for it. He's shoved. It comes to Sundin. Lapointe was knocked down, now gets up. He's up front. Here he is. And a bad shot just rolls harmlessly to the corner. Sundin again. Circles. Shoots well wide. Canadiens doing a good job of keeping them outside. DiPietro. And now Brisebois. And they get it down the ice. Trying to end that tonight. A 5-game winless streak. He has been flawless so far. Down to 8 minutes and 48 seconds left in the third period. Gilbert Dion scored in the first, Brian Bellows in the second, and so far those two goals have held up for the Canadiens. John LeClair shot right on. Ricci clears it out to center. Boy, Ricci's back, Wolanin cruising at center ice, the defenseman. You'd expect it to be the other way around. Alexei Gusarov watched by LeClair. Young flipping it to the line. Desjardins there, and the Nordiques don't look like they have quite as much jump right now. Leschyshyn to an open wing. And the Canadiens appear to be frustrating the Nordiques, who trail by 2 with 8:10 left in the third. I'd say both are in peak playoff form. Here's Nolan losing it as he broke in on Brisebois. Huff and Brisebois in the corner. Sakic looks for a loose puck, but Damphousse chops it outside the line. Up Nolan and Sakic up front, and Leschyshyn's pass almost took Sakic's helmet off. Up cruising behind the net, Daniel watching him. Loose for Nolan. In front, cleared away by Brisebois. Now Damphousse flips it high in the air. LeBeau and Mike Keane on this line for the Canadiens with Damphousse. Foot carries it to center. And that took a funny hop and went into the crowd.
7:21 left, and the Canadiens playing the kind of hockey the fans complained about in recent seasons in Montreal. Too much defense and all of that. But they're in a position, of course, where they have to. And Chris, you're right. You mentioned a while back the Nordiques aren't getting very many good open chances at Patrick Roy, but there's still at 7:21 to go. You mentioned how their defense is up and the forwards back here a minute ago. During a sequence here, back 3 or 4 minutes of playing time ago, and Quebec had some pressure on. Their two defensemen at one point during it all were both parked outside the goal crease at one time. That's the way they have to do now. They've got to they got to get two, but they got to get the one first. You mentioned about Patrick Roy's losses at the end of the year. One of them came in the strangest thing I've ever seen. The Canadiens lost a game when the other team scored into an empty net in overtime. But then he was pulled. That was because they had to win the game. A tie didn't do them any good against Washington.
As was borne out the next night when the Nordiques did go into Ottawa and win. And clinched second and home ice advantage. Hasn't been much of an advantage, though, here tonight. Kamensky sent back by Denny Savard. Steve Finn hit by Carbonneau. Canadiens captain tying it up there. As long as it's down there, it's good news for the Canadiens, who get a face-off.
Key Carbonneau style hockey, certainly. Well, this playoffs underway today, the 18th of April, and almost 2 months ahead. Brett Hull with the winner as the Blues upset the Blackhawks. 3 goals for Noonan for Chicago. He got 6 all year in the regular season. The Kings over the Flames 6-3. You saw Wayne Gretzky being interviewed about his Charlie horse. 4 points for Mario. They had a 6-1 lead over New Jersey at one point in that game this afternoon. Tonight, the Washington Capitals with Dale Hunter getting 2 lead the Islanders 3-1. And that's a final score, we're told now. Capitals get the leg up in that series. And they're into overtime now in Boston. As we have seen, it's a 4-4 tie.
Dick, in that game, Joey Junot, who is from around here, has got 4 assists for the Bruins. Shots this period, 7 for the Canadiens, just 2 for the Nordiques. Hardly the way they can mount a comeback against this tight defensive hockey of the Canadiens. Gusarov pinching in. There's Sakic with the loose puck. Cross-ice pass for Pearson broke it up, and Haller gets it outside the line. Benoit Brunet, nice pass into DiPietro, tees it up. Dion shot right on. Hextall with his 8th save of the period. Brunet centers it again, and Wolanin intercepted that. Dion takes it away, slides it through looking for Brunet. Wolanin on him. Both go down, and Pearson up with it for Quebec. Scott Pearson, who has played sparingly tonight, chips it in and heads to the Nordique bench. 5 minutes, 50 seconds to go, third period. Still 2-0 Montreal. Up. Hit in front of the Canadiens bench, but gets it into the zone. J.J. Daigneault. Duchesne couldn't keep it in. Here's Muller. Was hounded by Rusinski, but gets it into the Quebec zone, overskated by Leschyshyn. John Leclerc centers it over the stick of Bellows. Bellows goes down, and Huff turns. Lead pass Rusinski. Rusinski working in. Easily handled by Patrick Roy. Rusinski goes after it again. He's pulled down at center ice. It'll take more than that to get a penalty. Here's Bellows with a man open. Leclerc, Hextall, 2 big stops on John Leclerc, who can't buy one against Hextall tonight. Back in he comes again. Shot right on. Hextall way out of the net. Nothing to shoot at for John Leclerc. Ricci for the Nordiques. Drops it off. Kamensky can't get a good shot away. And the Nordiques are caught up ice. Here's Domfus back against Gusarov. Vincent Domfus, and Gusarov plays it well. Takes the puck away and will try to turn it up quickly. Kamensky back to Gusarov. Back to Kamensky. Valerie Kamensky against Haller. Hangs on, back to Gusarov. Kamensky again can't handle it, and Mike Keane passed Gusarov down the ice.
Canadiens playing quite a hockey game inside their own red line, and the only reason this game is still 2-0 Montreal is Ron Hextall's goaltending in this third period.
Bellows putting it back into the Quebec zone. Canadiens change their defenseman as Odeline and Desjardins come out. Sundin turns. Takes the return pass past Carbonneau inside the line. Can't get the shot away, and it rolls harmlessly to Patrick Roy. Canadiens 3:45 away from taking the lead in the series. The gifted offensive talent has been able to click, so now they've got a couple of muckers in Cavallini and Simon out there to work with Matt Sundin. Let's see if they can create some havoc. Cavallini was forechecking, but the Canadiens get it out. And Duchesne at his own line. Kurt Muller on the ice with Brian Bellows and Leclerc, who sends the Nordiques back again. Simon will try it. Cavallini up to Sundin. That Sundin shot right on, and Patrick Roy holds on.
Canadiens made it 5 in a row, and I wonder if anybody ever will.
Team in Pittsburgh's going to try. 3 minutes to go, third period. Nolan can't control the pass. Mike Keane flips it back in. Gusarov hit by Dion. Penalty coming up against the Canadiens. Dion will get a penalty, and the Nordiques get it down the ice. Nolan goes down now. He's been shaken up, and this is what the Nordiques needed. The power play's been ineffective tonight, but they will get another shot.
Yeah, it's not what the Canadiens needed. A penalty like that with less than 3 minutes to play in a 2-0 hockey game, and Dion gets 2 for the elbow here at 17-17. So this sets things up for Quebec. This is not necessary at all, this. I mean, jump into the guy, but don't get the elbow up on the helmet. There is no question that that's a penalty. And as Chris mentioned, this is the 4th power play chance that Quebec has had. The Canadiens have not had a power play. They've been in control of this hockey game, and things are winding down for Quebec, but now the Canadiens give them a chance to get back in with a power play opportunity here late in this 3rd period. Interesting turn here, perhaps. And the Gunners are out there. Ricci, Kamensky, Duchesne, Sakic, along with Scott Young for the Nordiques.
Hope you're enjoying our Stanley Cup playoff opening doubleheader. Tomorrow night, another reminder, Toronto and Detroit from Joe Louis. Bob Cole, Harry Neal, Don Cherry, Ron McLean. We'll have that one for you. Viewers, Manitoba West will see game 1 of the Smythe Semi between Winnipeg and Vancouver from the Pacific Coliseum. Steve Armitage, John Garrett, Scott Oates. Nordiques trying to break the goose egg here with the man advantage. Scott Young is in. Ricci's in front. They drop it back to Duchesne. He just flips it over the glass, and this face-off will come outside the line.
Chris, early in the game, we talked about the Canadiens having to show some patience.
2 minutes, 15 seconds to go in the 3rd period. 1:33 remaining in the penalty to Gilbert Dion. Sundin taking the draw. Comes free for Sakic, who now is at the point. And he flips it in. Desjardins with some time and got a good hop. Hextall had left the bench. They're going to try and get an extra attacker on.
2 minutes.
And so they do now. Hextall's at the bench. 6 skaters against 4. With just under 2 minutes to go. There's the shot, and it deflects wide. Mike Keane has it. He's checked by Rusinski. Sundin in the corner. Sundin takes a look. Odeline got his stick on that pass. Sundin gets it back again. Sakic goes to the net, and the pass goes between his skates. Sundin again. There's Lapointe. Centers. Rusinski scores!
Well, they pulled the goalie with exactly 2 minutes left in regulation to try to get on the scoreboard. It's hard to tell how that one got in. It seemed as though Patrick Roy from that angle had it covered. Obviously, he did not. And good pressure by those 6 skaters against the 4 for Quebec. And it's a 2-1 hockey game with 1:29 left. They'll pull the goalie again. It just seems to squinch through or squeeze through the Patrick Roy's arm between the left arm and the body. The shutout is gone. We can say the word now. And the Nordiques get to within 1 with Hextall on the bench and an extra skater on the ice.
Martin Rusinski had 18 during the regular season. He has his first Stanley Cup playoff goal, and Pierre Pagé has called a timeout. Let's see how it unfolded here.
Well, it was just the pressure by Quebec. And there's Rusinski heading for the net right there. He got away, and he got his stick on the puck, and he just muscled it through Roy, who made the right move, seemed to have the angle covered, but not quickly enough. So hang on, folks. This one isn't over yet. It's 2-1, and there's 1.5 minutes left here in regulation time. Boy, that penalty was totally unnecessary that Dion took. That put the Canadiens in a hole manpower-wise, and the Nordiques finally took advantage of it. It was their 4th power play, and the first time, obviously, that they scored.
18:31, the time of the goal. Rusinski's first Stanley Cup playoff goal. Sundin and Lapointe get the assist. Hextall was on the bench.
And may still be on the bench, even with the face-off at center ice. That's what they're going to do. Normally, teams will put the goaltender back in when there's a face-off following a goal if they still need another one, and indeed they do to tie it. So Pierre Pagé pulling out all the stops, to use the old cliche, and there's Hextall on the bench, and there's a 6 skater against 5 situation now facing the Canadiens.
Pagé showing you he's a gambler. 1:29 to go, but Hextall's gonna stay out. The gambles worked for 1, but now it's 6 skaters against 5. And right from the face-off, it's shot in wide of the net. Sakic and Duchesne. Lapointe's out there, Sundin circling. Listen to this crowd. And And it's cleared down, apparently did not hit Rucinski, and icing is the call, so Hextall, in all likelihood, will have to come back.
I don't know if Paget's upset with the officials on the call or his team, but he can't be upset with the official because the Quebec player ahead where the pass was intended, Rucinski did not make contact with it, so we have 1:14 left. That all took 15 seconds to transpire. There's that pass to the left side, but the Nordiques left winger, Rucinski, didn't touch it. Now, who gets to it first? Right there. Daniel got his stick on it, so we have a face-off in the Nordique zone. And Hextall will get out of that zone as quickly as he can.
Claude Lapointe and Muller getting set for this face-off with 1:14 to go in the third. And now a one-goal game. Lapointe wins the draw. And as the Nordiques skate out, Hextall was starting to cheat out, but he has to go back in. Now under a minute to go in the third period. And the Nordiques getting tied up here. They're trying to get Hextall out. Sakic ahead to Lapointe, and out comes Hextall. Lapointe moving in. Sakic, shot, scores!
I think this is one Patrick Roy would like to have back. Joe Sakic from a fairly severe angle and from fairly far out. And it seemed to go right through Patrick's legs. Here's the whole play. You see Hextall leaving the net. He just got to the bench. Lapointe with it on the drop pass to Sakic, and he just risked one. We've got a tie hockey game with 47 seconds left. The Nordiques scored 2 goals very quickly. This was a total Canadiens dominated third period, and Jacques Demers is wild against referee Stewart, I think going back to the Dion penalty. And that's what turned this whole thing around, was the Gilbert Dion penalty on Gusarov. And that set the stage for what you are seeing and hearing right now here in the Colisée.
1912. Sakic. Lapointe will get 1 assist. We haven't got the official yet, but 2 goals in 41 seconds in the final 90 seconds of regulation time, and both with Ron Hextall on the bench. You won't see that very often.
Well, I'll tell you, they can thank Hextall for having the chance to tie the hockey game the way he's played in this third period when his team was being totally outplayed for the most part.
Curtis Lasician, Mike Keane takes a whack at foot, and here comes Kamensky. 18 seconds left. Kamensky works his in, shooting, wad down, and he holds on.
Boy, I'll tell you, we just showed you on the screen a great comeback in a series by Toronto. How about a comeback in a game by Quebec? And they almost went ahead there, and for all intents and purposes would have won it with just 13 seconds left. So it's Kamensky. And that one sort of runs up Patrick Roy's stick and right into his body, and he had to play it very, very carefully. This place has been rather quiet for most of tonight. I'll tell you, quite a few people left with 4 or 5 minutes to go. The unfaithful here in Quebec City. They'll be sorry they did.
I think some might have scrambled back. You saw Kamensky, who Marcelo Boone talked about in the intermission with Ron McLean. Here's a centering pass. Desjardins gets it out of harm's way. Lasician can't keep it in. And now the clock winding down. Carbonneau and Lasician right in front of the Canadiens bench. Time's expired. We're going to overtime, but now Carbonneau must get attention. Carbonneau is on the Canadiens bench. Looks like he'll be available for overtime duty. Canadiens were 5-3-6 in overtime. Quebec 4-1-10 this year in the regular season in sudden death. And the Nordiques quickly send it down. Lapointe takes his man out, but icing is the call, and Haller takes a look at Lapointe. Boy, 2 streaks coming to an end there. The Sabres were struggling, and the Bruins were red hot down the stretch. Yes, it's Stanley Cup playoff time, and anything can happen, and we've seen that here tonight. Puck flipped in by Lapointe, and Desjardins has it past Keane down the ice. In case you joined us late, Matt Schneider out of this game and out of the series for a short time at least with a separated shoulder.
No doubt the 2 coaches, Jacques Demers, had the toughest job to try to get his gang back together again during the intermission leading to this overtime. Pierre Pagé walked into a room that was pumped, and Demers walked into a room that was depressed, I'm sure.
Well, they said this was an inexperienced team. The downfall of the Nordiques would be inexperienced, but they looked very poised in the final couple of minutes of regulation time. And for Patrick Roy, this game has been like his season. Brilliant at times, but goals that we aren't used to seeing Patrick Roy allow. Ron Hextall at the other end has been sensational.
I agree with Don. Had the game ended the way it looked like it was going to end in regulation time, Hextall deserved a star for keeping it as close as it was, but that was the key to the Nordiques coming back to tie it, his goaltending.
Ricci wins the faceoff. Young through to Rasinski. He had the first goal in this comeback. Rasinski, the rookie, being watched by Daigneault. And he's knocked down, and the puck slides into the Quebec zone. Greg Wolanin. Gusarov, his defensive partner, returns the pass, and now Rasinski. Former Edmonton Oiler. Dumps it in, Daigneault there, off the glass, out for John Leclerc, and Leclerc's had so many great chances tonight. He couldn't get by Wolanin. Brisebois sends it in, offside is the call. We've played 70 seconds of overtime.
These teams did not play overtime against each other during the regular season. As we mentioned during the course of the show, with the visiting teams dominating, winning 6 out of 7, but none of the games were really close. No matter who was winning the game, they were doing it convincingly.
Jacques Demers had to rebuild the confidence of his team in the last couple of weeks. And he had to do the exact same thing, as you mentioned, Dick, in the intermission, after playing so well for 58 minutes. Dion is on the ice. And oh, he'd love to score after taking that penalty. Offside again, the call.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. We both refer to the Dion, DiPietro, Brunet line as being a bit of a pleasant surprise, I think, for Demers tonight, the way they played. But the wheels came off with the penalty to Dion. But, you know, the Nordiques, you can't turn your back on a team that has the offensive potential that this Quebec team does. You just can't let them give them an inch. The Canadiens did, and here we are in overtime.
Third best offense during the regular season after Detroit and Pittsburgh. Dion in the corner, double team there, stays with it. And now Huff takes it away and starts the Nordiques back. Right wing feed to Owen Nolan. Long shot. Patrick Roy handles that. Dion now, DiPietro breaking. Dion slides it in, Hextall out of the net, Duchesne plays it. Duchesne almost lost it to Dion, but gets it ahead, and here comes Nolan with Sakic. Nolan going wide against Odeline. Against the boards, Sakic looks to pry it free, and the Canadiens send it down the ice.
Well, you can sense that this overtime is starting. There's no doubt which team has the spring in its legs. And that's very understandable, the way it all ended in regulation time. Now we go back. A lot of things happened on April the 18th. The Nordiques come back tonight. The Sabres win. And these teams were playing in overtime on April 18th, 1985. 8 years ago tonight. Mark Kumpel, remember him, scored the winner for Quebec, Game 1. So they won Game 1 that night in the other guy's building. See if the Canadiens can do likewise tonight.
Ricci on this face-off against Carbonneau. Ricci wins the draw. Young shot off the shin pad of Carbonneau wide. Daniel ahead to Bellows. Savard also on the ice. Ryan Bellows has a goal tonight. Checked there by Foot, who has trouble with it. Now Bellows looking to center. Hit Ricci. Carbonneau has it in the corner. Centers it. Bellows trying to come free, and out it comes for Scott Young. Young working against Brisebois. In front, Ricci got a stick on it, deflects it high. Ricci's lost a glove. And the Canadiens have the puck. Brisebois up to Carbonneau. Backhands it into the Quebec zone and heads to the bench as the Canadiens make a wholesale change. Gusarov. Tied up is Rasinski. He can't get loose. Gusarov on the second attempt gets it down the ice. Not enough for icing. And Desjardins. Kevin Haller blindly passes it, goes to Lapointe, puts it in front. Kamensky can't get it. Haller knocked him off stride, and Keane has it at center. Ahead for Dom Foose. Desjardins clears it in. Wolanin takes a look. Keane in on him quickly, but they do clear it down. We've played 3 minutes and 39 seconds of sudden death overtime.
Why coaches go gray? Not this one. Jacques Demers with the pass across ice in his own zone in overtime by Kevin Haller. Had he been listening to Don Cherry, who addressed young defensemen, I don't think he was addressing NHL defensemen, but he could have. When you're in trouble and in doubt, get it up along the boards. And he threw it across. That was a scary moment for the Canadiens in their own zone, but now they're going to face off in the Quebec zone.
Kirk Muller on the ice with Brian Bellows and John Leclerc. The Colisée is hopping. Daniel at the point, deflected by Huff. It goes in the corner. Leclerc swats at it, but Huff starts back. Owen Nolan sends it into the corner. Huff gives chase against Patrick Roy. In the corner for Bellows. He flips it out to center. Canadiens playing it cozy right now. Curtis Lesishin rink wide. Joey Sakic got the equalizer. Into the corner for Huff. Nolan fighting for it against Muller. Kicked it free, but it was deflected by the Canadiens, and Leclerc to Bellows. Steve Finn lost his footing. Bellows shot, and Hextall again well out of the net to challenge Brian Bellows.
Big guy for Quebec continues to be the big guy in the nets. That one might have just been on the way to squeezing through, and he managed to hang on. Bellows had to let the shot go a bit farther out, I'm sure, than he would have liked, as the chase was on, heading down the right side into the Quebec zone. But watch the reaction of Hextall here as Bellows lets it go from the rim of the circle, and he just hangs on a little bit. Take a look now from behind the net. Maybe we get a better idea of the kind of a save it was. Might not have been as close as it looked from our end of the ice, but there's an opening there, and he closes it just in time.
Pierre Pagé said that his goaltender has been his leader since the start of the year, and we're getting a great illustration of that tonight in Game 1 of this Adams semi. Nordiques trying to preserve a home ice advantage. The Canadiens trying to nail down a win they thought they had 58 minutes into the game. Desjardins hit by Lapointe. Kamensky knocks it free. Sundin in the corner. Desjardins tries to knock it away from him. Kamensky again. Slides it through. Steve Duchesne can't get the shot away. There's a backhand wide. Lapointe. Cross ice pass hit Brunet. Gusarov had pinched in. He could get caught up ice. Here's Dion with DiPietro. 2-on-1. Dion shooting. Hextall cleared away the rebound. DiPietro loses it behind the net. Back comes Quebec. Kamensky on left wing. Valerie Kamensky, and the drop pass went between Sundin's legs. DiPietro flips it outside the line. been a spark plug for Montreal, but that pass broken up by Kamensky. Kamensky to Lapointe. Lapointe stops up, passes across, and it's cleared by Odelay. Looked like Lapointe might have had a chance on a break, and now offside called. And DiPietro down.
That was a tired line the Canadiens had. Paul DiPietro. And he slid in offside on the play. He created a giveaway in the Nordique zone. Boy, I wish we could have had a camera on Matt Sundin as that last rush came up with Lapointe carrying the puck. Boy, did he fly back toward the Canadian zone. Absolutely a beautiful skater. Now here's Dion, and he's down as the puck didn't get through. Close call.
That time Gusarov had pinched in for Quebec and got caught up ice, and the Canadiens with Dion and DiPietro had that 2-on-1 opportunity. Rusinski takes Keane into the boards, and here comes the first penalty of the night. 65 minutes and 55 seconds into the game against Martin Rusinski. And in overtime, the Canadiens get their first power play.
Rusinski, one of the scoring heroes late in the third period. Paget not arguing the point, I do not think. But his team is shorthanded for the first time tonight. So on the right of the screen is where you'll see the infraction take place. And Rusinski's gone for 2 with a boarding call. And you see Stewart with the arm upraised. So the tongue-in-cheek comments of Rob Ramage with Ron in the intermission come back to us now just a little bit. No doubt the Canadiens upset over the difference in the number of penalties called. So now they get a power play chance, and the power play we mentioned off in the strengths and weaknesses, they have to get it going in this series if in the long run, I still feel, Chris, no matter what happens here tonight, in the long run, if they're going to win it, because the power play has not been too good lately.
Ron Hextall will be tested. His team had the 15th best penalty killing unit during the regular season. Canadiens the 15th best power play. So it's not exactly strength against strength, but Jacques Demers' team will take this opportunity. Brisebois will lead the rush. Bellows is out on the ice with Dion and Kirk Muller. Here's Muller dropping it back. Brisebois at the point. Bellows. Haller is at the other point. And Haller takes the pass, shot, hit the post, rebound to Bellows, had it hop over his stick with a wide open net. Oh boy, the Canadiens have had some hard luck around Ron Hextall tonight. And Mike Huff sends them back into their own zone. Off the post, and the rebound somehow got by Bellows. Stéphane Lebeau is lining up at the Nordique blue line, and now here comes Domfus. Domfus trying to burst through. Checked off the puck, and Sakic clears. 53 seconds left in Rusinski's minor. Both teams make changes. Eric Desjardins ahead to Domfus. At the line with Keane. Lebeau also up front. Daigneault now at the point. Mike Keane. Down low, Domfus. Keane, the return pass, lost it. Here's Lapointe. Nordiques had 21 shorthanded goals this year to lead the NHL. Lapointe behind the net. 47 watched by 47. Lebeau. Lapointe wants a whistle, and they're going to get the face-off. It won't be in the Canadian zone. It'll come outside the line.
Since a minute and a half left or thereabouts in regulation time through till now in overtime, they played 7:37. Been a series of downers for Jacques Demers and the Canadiens. The 2 late goals by Quebec sending it into overtime, and that sequence there on the power play. Hextall beaten cleanly on the shot by Kevin Haller. It hits the post, goes out behind the goaltender, and Brian Bellows, of all people, off to the side of the net, and it gets away from him. Now here's the shot coming in from Haller with Dion there, and it's off the post. back in behind Hextall. There's the stick of Bellows. How about the bounce? Follow the bouncing puck. And it took a Nordiques bounce right there. Bingo, bingo.
Well, you could see Brian Bellows' reaction. Shock as it bounced over his stick. 7 seconds to go in the man advantage. Rusinski getting ready to return. Mike Ricci against the boards. He of the 10 game-winning goals this year, and Rusinski's returned in a big ovation for this Nordique penalty-killing unit.
Oh, everything's going the way of Quebec. The crowd is back with them now, and even a penalty-killing stint like that, of course, draws a standing O here, as well it should, in overtime. They've got it in their grasp, and you have to wonder if that last sequence at the net with the post and the Bellows miss, or the puck missed him, really. It might be a last gasp for the Canadiens here right now.
You know, the Canadiens got a message from Jacques Demers before the playoffs about controlling their emotions. Don't get too high or too low. And it really comes into play in a game like this. 12:01 to go. First overtime period. Tied at 2. Denny Savard on the ice. Benoit Brunet and Guy Carbonneau on an offside at the Nordiques line.
Denny Savard is on the brink of some kind of a statistical note for playoff hockey. He has 147 points. His next point will tie him with Brian Propp at 148. And they will be tied as the players who have scored the most points in the career in the playoffs and have never played on a Stanley Cup winning team. That's really digging on that one.
124th playoff game for Denny Savard.
I think get it tonight.
Here's Owen Nolan with Sakic and Huff hitting the line, and Savard makes the defensive play. At even strength right now, as Savard takes it, you get the impression that Canadiens are killing a penalty and the Nordiques are acting like they're on a power play. Just the way they're setting up. They're going to the offense, and it looks like the Canadiens are trying to stop them. Huff in the corner. Centers it. Sakic shot wide. Huff again after it. Mike Huff, the veteran, gets it free. Sakic was looking for Nolan in front, broken up by J.J. Daniel.
Tell you, Nolan was in front all alone.
Here's Brunet bursting in. Benoit Brunet. Hextall again. On a clear-cut break for Benoit Brunet.
I think we'll see on the replay that Brunet was in a little too deep and a little too wide. I don't think he had a clear setup at the net. He cut in from a sharp angle on the left wing right here. And he might even go too far to put the puck in right there. He would have had to get it right back at another sharp angle underneath Hextall. But give him credit for a shot and give Hextall credit for another big game saver. Well, that hit the side of the net. That's what happened there. That was the angle. Thought he had gone a little too far. Take a look at this. Hextall doesn't make the first contact with the puck. The net does. And he covers up on the rebound. There should not, I didn't notice if they clicked the shot for Montreal, but that shouldn't be a shot on goal.
Hextall played it perfectly, though, and Brunet foiled in overtime. 10:57 left in the first period of sudden death. Canadiens win the draw. Brisebois shot through traffic. He'll get another chance. Behind the net, there's Dom Foose. Gusarov watching him. Dom Foose feeds Brisebois. Shot blocked by Claude Lapointe. Flips it. Bad clearing there, but the Nordiques get another chance. Can't clear again. Sloppy play by Quebec. Finally, it's out. And here's Sundin. Great speed. In. Hauled down. Waugh hangs on. No call. And oh, this place is going to explode.
Paul Stewart doesn't call a penalty on Eric Desjardins. As we say in television, you be the judge. He doesn't get the shot away. That's almost penalty shot territory if you prevent the skater from getting a shot on goal. There's Desjardins with the stick in the midsection of Sundin. Down he goes. The shot isn't taken. The penalty isn't called. A penalty isn't called. And I watched Pierre Pagé. He was very calm. He didn't lose. I think he's just trying to keep things going the way they're going on the bench for Quebec. He'll take this overtime the way it's gone, with the exception, of course, of the hit post and the Brunet chance for Montreal. Well, it's turning into a long first day of the playoffs around the NHL. The Blues upset the Hawks in Chicago. The Kings over the Flames in Calgary. The Penguins a home ice win. Haven't been many of those. Washington was a home ice winner. And the Sabres, that's the big upset surprise to me. They beat Boston in overtime.
Nordiques win the face-off. There's the shot just off the mark. Don't forget, Toronto-Detroit tomorrow for viewers, Ontario East. And Vancouver and Winnipeg at the Pacific Coliseum. Viewers, Manitoba West. Nolan centers in front. DiPietro there at the side of the net to intercept it. Dion at center ice. Looked for help, but Mike Huff was there for the Nordiques. He lost it. And here's Gilbert Dion going wide. Duchesne watching him. Shot on. Kicked out by Hextall. Now the Nordiques looking a little disorganized in their own zone. Sakic finally gets control. Owen Nolan. Left wing Duchesne. Holds onto it. Centers. Deflected wide by Nolan.
Good hockey in the overtime, Chris. Lots of chances. Here's another one, maybe.
Here come the Canadiens. 4 skaters down the ice against 2. Kevin Haller shot right on. Sakic off the boards, and they do get it out. And Rosicki hits to the bench for Quebec. Here's a lead pass. Kirk Muller and Adam Foote with the defensive play.
Offside.
Offside was the call, but not many whistles are being heard in the Colisée right now.
Got 8 shots in overtime, 5 for Montreal, 3 for the Nordiques. And there have been some pretty good chances along the way. Here's the pass from the Canadiens blue line, and Muller's ruled in offside. Call was made immediately at the blue line by the linesman. Look out. Boy, the business of the nets being knocked off so easily has been a great boon to hockey players. And here's a Ron Hextall look at it. He gets out of the way. He's been in the way a lot tonight, as Chris mentioned early in the game, but particular.
37 shots directed at Hextall tonight. 32 at Patrick Roy. And it's tied at 2. 9:15 to go in the first overtime period. Scott Pearson back on the ice, and Pearson again hasn't seen many shifts tonight. He's out there now, maybe a chance. Shot, Young the shot, rebound. Pearson just missed there. Great save, Patrick Roy. Curtis Lasician moving in, centers it. That went off the skate of Brisebois out the other way. Ricci forechecking for Quebec. Scott Young turns with it. Young tried to get it. Here's Foote. His shot knocked down by Muller. Pearson to Ricci behind the goal. Young there, and Muller with a great defensive play. Back come the Canadiens. Muller feeds it ahead. John Leclerc behind the goal. Lasician around the boards. And there's Kamensky. Off the boards to Sundin. Matt Sundin. Another burst through the goal crease. Lost control. Back to the point. Kept in Wolanin. Kamensky down low. Watched by Haller and taken out of the play. Carbonneau ahead to Savard. Stopped up at the blue line by Gusarov. Now Desjardins flips it ahead. Brunet. And it's by him. Hextall out. Sundin at center. Lost control. Sundin reaching for it again. Kick 3 by Kamensky. Haller with it, and he lost it to the point. High backhand into the Canadian zone. Sundin watching Desjardins. And Haller. He flips it out to center. Duchesne flips it back in. Nordiques make a change now. Out comes Sakic with Nolan. Desjardins for the Canadiens. Cleared it in, and that deflected high, and Play is whistled down.
That hit the light standard that supports the red light and the green light in behind the Quebec goal. It was wobbly. I wondered why they blew the play down if it had hit the glass, but it didn't. It was over the glass. And they're testing the light, I guess, to make sure it still works. That's a strange one. Never saw that before. I tell you, we talked about a lot of the inexperienced players out here at playoff. They're getting a real baptism in this one. Canadians yelled that play might have been offside.
Boy, Scott Pearson almost got a chance to be the hero. And he's seen only a handful of shifts in this game. We've played 12 minutes and 45 seconds of overtime. Keane at the line, LeBeau dumps it into the corner. Joe Sakic, watched by Dom Foose, Nolan and Desjardins for Daigneault. Nolan up with it, kept in by LeBeau. Dom Foose was in behind and they couldn't get him the puck. Now Nolan for Quebec. Sakic trailing on the play. Huff goes to the net. Can't take the pass. Stéphane LeBeau. Vincent Dom Foose works against Duchesne. Centers it. Mike Keane gives chase. Sakic off the boards. It does come outside the line. Desjardins hit Duchesne with that clearing attempt. And it flips up through the Canadiens bench out of play.
I think Stéphane LeBeau would like to have that pass back to try again. He was just a bit too soft as he tried to get it into Vincent Dom Foose. There's Michel Bergeron. Told me the other night after the game in Buffalo that the series was opening in my Colisée. And they had their happiest moments and their glory years. Oh, come on, Michel, it's not that bad. This is overtime. He didn't yawn when he was coaching, I'll tell you that.
He's the only guy in the building yawning right now.
Now, a talk show host in Montreal does the color commentary on weekday Canadiens French language telecast as well.
Do you think there's enough airtime on Quebec City radio to talk about this game between now and Game 2 on Tuesday night?
Talk about hockey in July, Chris. They never have that problem.
Well, Landon drills it in just off the mark. Sundin taking Brunet to the boards, and they'll get a face-off in the Montreal zone.
Well, Matt Sundin has turned it up a notch in the overtime. He's had some terrific rushes, either with or without the puck. And it's a case of those legs that can just keep the other team off balance, but he is just something to watch. He's an absolutely beautiful skater when he gets in open ice.
He came the closest to making a controversial statement before this series. He said, with all our offense, how can the Canadiens check us all? And that raised the eyebrows of some veteran pundits who felt that the Nordiques' inexperience would be showing, and that might be fodder for the Canadiens. But Sundin's done a lot of talking on the ice tonight as well. Here's John Leclerc. Brian Bellows. Leclerc's backhand goes over the glass, and when you think, Dick, about the chances Leclerc and Bellows had early in this game, or less in this first overtime period. Kirk Muller for the Canadiens with John Leclerc and Brian Bellows. Adam Foote can't get it out, but follows up, and they do now flip it out to center. Bellows intercepting the pass, and Muller clears it back in. Ricci, Rusinski, and Young the line for the Nordiques. And here comes Mike Ricci. Nice move against Haller as Ricci goes wide, centers, Young right on, and a great save. Patrick Waugh this time came out to challenge Scott Young. Caught way behind the play. Ricci and Haller are fencing, and now Ricci gets out of the zone. And there's an offside at the other line.
Boy, Scott Young might be thinking I had the game on the end of my stick, and Patrick Roy came up big to keep this going with 5:18 remaining here in this first overtime period. 5:18 or less. But that's the best save that Patrick Roy has made in the overtime. Young on the left side, and he just cranked one. But Roy got over quickly. Good lateral movement, and he had the angle covered. And Young fired it into his pads. Here's the Ricci play against Haller. Back comes the puck. Here's Young. Nobody covering him. One times it. quickness by Patrick Roy to get across and block the shot. Scott Young, that last season, spent his time between the U.S. Olympic team and Italy. Quite a switch for him this year.
There's a chance for Dion. The shot, chopping at it, Brunet. And now the Nordiques get it back out to center ice. Steve Finn flips it in. Daniel chopped at it. It'll be kept in by Quebec. Here's a bouncing shot off Brisebois to the corner. Sakic behind the goal. Nolan forechecking as well. It goes past Finn. Down the ice, Duchesne scampers back to get it. Dion at center to Brisebois. He crosses the red line and will drive it right in on Hextall. 4:40 left in this first overtime period. 2-2 at the Colisée in game 1 of the Battle of Quebec. Owen Nolan with Huff and Sakic. Mike Huff flips it at Patrick Roy, and with Owen Nolan cruising, he wisely hangs on.
The way that these teams played through the first 2 periods, it was going to be the quickest game of the first day of the playoffs. Now it's turned into the longest as we look at Owen Nolan, #1 overall in 1990. Out of the Cornwall Juniors, 36 goals this year. But injured near the end of the season. You'll see his black eyes. They were a lot darker than that a few days ago. Collision with the boards here in a late season game. Came out obviously second best.
Boy, he's intense. He comes out of that dressing room about 5 minutes before the next period's about to start and gets ready in the hallway. You saw that shot in our intermission before overtime, and he was pacing for a good 5 minutes outside the dressing room. Right outside the line, Craig Wolanin. There's Kamensky. And Eric Desjardins takes over for the Canadiens. Dean Domfus and Lebeau back out for Montreal. Sundin, Lapointe, and Kamensky for the Nordiques. Lapointe has played a real hard-nosed hockey game for the Nordiques, and he's the smallest of the Quebec forwards. He's had a gritty night, as has DiPietro, a small center iceman for the Canadiens. Here's Lebeau racing down ice, puts on the brakes. Passes for Domfus, broken up. Kamensky lost his stick and kicked it ahead. Lebeau back in. Watched by Gusarov. Keane in the corner against Sundin. Now Lapointe flipping it into the Canadian bench. Another stoppage. 3:26 left.
That stick on the ice helped the Canadiens. Nordiques wheeling out of their own zone. Headman the puck. It hit the stick that was on the ice. There's another situation here with Stéphane Lebeau with a soft pass to Vincent Domfus, who could have had a good crack at Hextall perhaps. Pass didn't get to him. It's overtime here at the Colisée. 3:26 remaining or less in the first overtime period. Oh, there's a lot of guys here who are playing in their first Stanley Cup game, their first Stanley Cup overtime game. Brzezinski and Sakic getting their first Stanley Cup playoff goals. A lot of firsts for the Nordiques tonight. They'd like to make it one more, of course, in their first Stanley Cup win. But the experience of Ron Hextall has been a big, big factor in this hockey game.
Dick, you get the impression, though, the Canadiens have regained a little bit of confidence after a shaky start in this overtime. We've got Savard, Carbonneau, and Brunet out there now. Ricci with a nice pass to Scott Young. He's had a good chance in overtime. 4 goals against Montreal in the regular season. Young scores! Scott Young in overtime has won for the Nordiques.